pin me yourselves because I can't spotlight. So I'm doing that for my own screen so that I can make sure I'm showing you the right thing. If you want to see my screen enlarged, you'll have to do that yourselves because for whatever reason that option's not available to me this time. Now, let's see. Let me just switch right down here and show you what we're doing. We're making cards like Jackie showed you. Let me zoom in. So we're going to do stuff like this, and we'll be painting it with it flat, and then you fold it and turn it into a card, and then you get envelopes. I forgot to grab an envelope, but you can go to the office supply store and get envelopes that fit these, and then mail them, or just hand deliver them to your friends. And of course, you write inside whatever you want to write. And here's just a whole bunch of ideas that I had created. This one just says Happy V-Day, but of course you can make it say whatever you want to have it say. So you paint your own design on there. This is one that I like. It says love grows where my Valentine goes. And this one just says be my Valentine, and I just copied some lettering that I found in one of the fonts in my computer. And that's a cool idea too. You just go looking through your fonts, like type out, open up a word processing document, type out the phrase you want to use. Like I had thought for this one, with this design, you could write something like, my heart's on the line, please say you'll be mine. Or just any little, fun thing you want to think up to go with your designs that you're creating. But anyway, you
Hey,
type
Christine.
it out.
Christine,
Mhm.
I'm sorry to bother you. I'm just going to interject one thing, and then I'm not going to talk anymore. It's going to be my 46th anniversary on Valentine's Day. Yes, I know it sounds like fiction, but it's really true. We got married in 1975. We actually got married twice on Valentine's Day, once at home and once in the church. So my husband just went outside, so I'm going to show this to you really fast. I have 46 hearts that I'm working on, coloring them in, and that's it. 46. That's it. I'm not going to talk anymore. Thank you.
That's cute. Happy anniversary.
Congratulations. Many more.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Wonderful.
So that's a cool thing too. If it's your 46th anniversary, draw 46 hearts. But anyway, what I was saying is you type out your phrase, and then you switch, select it, and then go through the different fonts, and you can see your phrase typed out in all those different fonts, and pick one you like and print it out, or just leave it on the screen. But then you can, look at that font and kind of copy it with your lettering, and you can get some cool lettering ideas if you don't like to just, freehand and be creative and jump into it and see where you go. But those are my sample ideas. And you don't have to just draw hearts. This one, as you can see, has butterflies. And I just picked this out in a hurry just to show you. It's something I'm in the process of working on. It's not finished, but it's also a big, pretty butterfly. And, you can make butterflies for your Valentine ideas. You can make flowers, like daisies and just anything, whatever strikes your fancy. Then the next step is you get your watercolor paper. Here's one sheet of watercolor paper, just out of the regular 9x12 sheet of or pad of watercolor paper, and you fold it in half. This one is folded. So I fold it in half, then I take my paintbrush or a pencil and just score or, press that down really hard. Then I'm going to take and turn it the other direction, do the same thing. Then I could just tear it in half right like that. I'm going to put my ruler down here. I have a nice metal ruler, which makes this easy to do. And I'm just going to tear right on that line. Now I have the paper for 2 cards. And that rough edge there, if you don't like that, you can always use scissors or an X-Acto blade and just cut your paper in half. But that, oops, sorry about that loud noise. That rough edge can be considered a decal edge, which is kind of fancy. So there's that idea if you want to do that. Now, I tore 2 pieces in half, and now I have 4 cards that I can work with. You can also tape this down. That will help hold it nice and straight. But if you're not painting much more than simple designs like this, you don't really need to tape it down. You're not going to have the problem with your paper buckling. If you're going to put, where'd the one go with all that extra paint? If you're going to paint this much on it, you could tape it down, but then you're going to have white edges, like a little white frame on it. But if you don't want to have that and you want to have the paint go all the way to the edge, then don't tape it down. Just paint carefully. And you can see how this one's just a little bit warped. If I wanted to fix that, I could spray a little clean water on the inside of it here, close it up, and put it underneath some heavy books or something. I do know sometimes people also iron their paintings flat. If you're going to do that, iron the not painted side and put a piece of parchment paper or something here to protect the surface of whatever you're laying it on, just in case some of that paint comes off. And don't use steam, because there's moisture in that steam, and when the moisture gets on the watercolor, it moves it around. You know that. So you would ruin your piece if you put steam. But anyway,
Or it could be really, really cool.
It might be a cool, now I'm going to have to go experiment with that and see what happens. But anyway, so we're going to just go ahead and paint a few things. And I've got my paint palette cleaned off so that I can put some colors out here and show you. And I also tried a few things with putting some light on the subject here on my paint palette. I'm having trouble getting the light on there without it having a big hot spot. Let's see if I can put that on there. That's not too hideous. Not great though. How does it look without it? I think we're going to go without and hope that you can see the color good. I'll try to zoom in a little bit here and there so we can get good color. And I'm going to turn this right around so the red is mostly in the light and facing me. Now, you can draw things with your pencil, but you don't really need to. Let's see, I'm going to do, because I like it, I'm going to do another one of this. And I can see that my paper needs to be like this, and I need to know where the halfway point is. So I'm going to just eyeball that next to the other card and make a tiny little note right there. Now that would be enough for me. You can't even see that. I just made a tiny little dot. But if you want more than that, you can just put a line right across there. So now I've got the top of my card is marked off. So I know everything that's going to be seen on the front of the card needs to be below that line. But I don't feel like I need to draw this with a pencil, because I can do that. I can look at that and eyeball it. I'm not trying to do exactly that. I'm just trying to do that sort of an idea. And I think I would draw the hearts first. So I would just pick some color. Now, today I will tell you the names of the colors I'm using in case you want to go to the store and buy a whole bunch of different reds and stuff. It's fun to just experiment with them, and that's one of the ways that I got almost all the colors I have in here, is just buy some at the store and experiment with it. But here I will tell you what I've got. This is Opera Rose, and let me see if I can zoom right in on that. The light could be better. Anyway, Opera Rose. It's a really pretty pink color. Let me see my flashlight again and see if I can make something happen here. Is that, except for the part where it's got a hot spot, that's not too bad as far as, it does show you the pink color. I have all kind of lights on in my studio here, and it just, no matter what I do with my camera settings, it's like it accommodates or it adjusts to accommodate the lighting. And I have all the auto adjustment things turned off, so don't know why it's doing that. We're going to just go with it like this. Anyway, there's Opera Rose. It's a really, really pretty pink color. And let's see, this right here is quinacridone magenta. And you can maybe see the difference in those right there. It is also a really, really pretty pink color, but it's slightly more purpley colored than the Opera Rose. It looks way purple on my camera. It's less purple than that, but it is a magenta color. Then I have another good color. Actually, you know what? That's Permanent Rose. I think this is my Opera Pink, I think is what it's called. So Permanent Rose, Opera Pink. Oh, my Opera got some other color in it. There. Anyway, you get a variety of pinks and reds going and get some little puddles made. And then you just work from those puddles to start creating some hearts over on your paper. And I'm going to make one right here that will just be red, and I'll end up putting some dots or something else in it.
I cannot see it. There.
Sorry. Thank you. I forgot to look up and see if I was in the frame or not. And let me see how zoomed in I am. There, that zooming in a little better is good.
Much better. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Please do tell me if I do something like that and you're not able to see, because sometimes I forget to look up and see to make sure I've got it in the frame. All right, so there's one heart. Now, let me see. I'm going to get rid of that color and pick a new color. And I think I will go with that Opera Pink because it's really a pretty color. And just make another heart. Could have got more water there. And I like my hearts to have a little bit of an organic feel to them. So I want it to look like I'm just dashing off some hearts on here without really drawing a stenciled exactly perfect shape and every heart exactly the same. But if that's what you want, every heart exactly the same, well, then go ahead and draw it on there. But I would recommend that you paint inside the lines. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If I draw a heart right here, and then I say I want to make it I'm going to make it this nice red color, and I'm going to make it stripes. Make them go this way. Then when that's dry, I'll go back and erase those pencil lines, and it'll be in the nice shape of a heart. If I was to draw, let's see, let me put a little bitty one right down here. If I draw a heart and then I paint some really light color, that purple is not going to let me show you what I want to show you. Let me just do this color really, really light. Okay, I've got a really light color on here, and I'm painting right over those lines. Now when that's dry, I'm going to show you that because I've painted over it, I basically put water on that line, the line's not going to erase. And that's, I don't like that, because for this particular thing, I prefer not to have a lot of pencil lines showing. And let me just see if I can find another piece of paper. This is not exactly watercolor, but it's going to hopefully do. Okay. I'm going to take some yellow because it's a nice light color, and I'm going to paint right over this. And I'm going to just get some clear water right over here, or mostly clear. Now what I want to show you here is that when that's dry, I'm going to not be able to erase those lines. So that's why a lot of times I tell you to go ahead and try to draw everything you can draw with your paintbrush, so that you don't end up with all these pencil lines in your work. It's the same thing like if you were drawing with a pen that's not waterproof. I do have some waterproof pens that I use, but I have these that are not waterproof. Let's see if I can show you the difference here. Oh, something just started ringing really loud in my ear. All right, so if I drew a shape, need to replace that pen. Sometimes what I'm drawing, I want there to be lines in it, and sometimes not. So, sorry, just muting my phone there right quick. Sometimes I draw the lines ahead of time, and then sometimes I want pen lines on it, but I don't want them to be smeared throughout the work. So let me zoom back in so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. Okay, so this one was the waterproof marker. If I put water on that, it's not going anywhere. So I could paint over those lines or fill in those lines or do crazy fun things with it, and it wouldn't, the lines won't go away. So my marks, my paint would look pretty just spread around on there, and let the color kind of run all together, and I would get a pretty look from that. This not waterproof marker though, I put water on that, and of course it's not going to do it now. There. The other one must have just dried too much. This one, the ink will move a little bit. So I could put some color on it and the ink moves. You might want that effect sometime, because sometimes it just can add something to your painting. But there you go, is a couple of different little tips to know about. So now this is not the whole way dry. Where is my other one? Over here. This one's dry. Let me show you on here. Where I painted over, that's not the whole way dry, but this side is mostly dry. Where I painted this one and I did not go over the lines, I can erase those lines. Got to be careful. Oops, smeared the paint. But there's the general idea. I can erase the lines there where they're not painted over. But on this one that's painted over, that line is not erasing, not completely. Maybe I'm lightening it a little. Maybe all my things are geared up to make me a liar today, because it is mostly erasing, but the line is still there. I can still see the pencil line, and it's because I painted over it. So I got it sealed in with the water. This one, there's not anywhere that's, this one I used too much water, I guess, and it's mixed media paint instead of watercolor paint. I have to give that one a minute more before I can really show you what I was trying to show you on that. Let's go back to this one that we're painting. And let's see. To make the lines, well, let me throw a couple more hearts on here. I'm going to just see if I can fudge and make a heart without drawing. Okay, that's mostly a heart. And then on this one here, I'm going to use a lift technique. I think I'll just go ahead and use this brush. It's wet with water. I just cleaned it off. So here's what I did. Rinse it off, tap most of the water off of it. Then I just go on here and start making some little curlicue lines of some sort. And I'm actually lifting the paint back up off of there. See, I've got that paint on my brush and I wipe it right there on my paper towel. As long as my brush is still damp, it will lift paint up there. So every once in a while I need to rinse it off and dip it back in the water. But I can just make all kind of curlicues and designs in there just by lifting paint back up off of the paper. Bring that one right around here. Could have probably planned that one a little better, made it look like a letter, like a monogram or something. Also, though, this is reminding me, doing these designs like this, I'm going to be doing some Celtic knots in March. So I'm not sure exactly where I'll be having that class, but if you're interested in that, it's something I've done every year in March. And if you missed it before and want to find it, watch my newsletter for details or my Facebook page. Now let's see here. I'm going to let's put some big round dots on here because I think they'll show real good in the camera. So I'm just lifting that color right up from there. And that particular paint lifts really easily. Look how much I got that right back almost to clear white again. So I'm going to put another dot right here. And again, that's just put clean water on the brush and do like you're painting with that water and just lift that paint. Then you begin to use your brush like it's a sponge and you lift that paint back up off there. And that's a way that you can get some white back onto something you painted, or get some highlights or stuff like that where you don't have to use liquid masking fluid, because that you have to paint it on there and then wait for it to dry completely and then paint your painting and then wait for the paint to dry completely and then rub the masking fluid off. And sometimes you get kind of rough edges. Sometimes it doesn't work as good as you wanted. Sometimes you can't get the lines exactly where you wanted. So if you learn this lift technique, you can have a lot of freedom with this to do what you want to do. But there we go. I put dots all on that one, so that might look like bubbles or something. Now this one that I did down here in the corner, I think I'll put little purple dots in that one. So that's just a different idea. And then you can take, when one is dry, you can take another color that's maybe darker than the one you were using and put lines. I'm going to put some squiggly lines on this one just to make some decoration on there. Then I think I'll do another purple heart. And I'm going to put extra purple in this one side over here. And while it's all wet, that's going to spread out and dry nice and make its own little design, because that's how watercolor does. And let's see, I need one more. I think I'll make another plain red one. Then I need to make the little clothesline type of thing that they're hanging on. So I just pick a color for that and roll my, let's see if I can show you here. I'm rolling my paintbrush around to get a really nice point going on the tip of it here. And then I'll just figure where I want my lines to go. I want it to come in here. And then come in here. And that's done, except for writing the lettering. And for the lettering, I would probably switch to markers or a pen or something like that to do the lettering. You can, I did this with my paintbrush, but it's faster to use a marker. It can, the paintbrush can do it. Here's another one I did with my paintbrush. So you can get the lines on there with the paintbrush, but you might find it easier to do with the marker. All right, let's just see if this got dry enough yet. It is dry mostly, so let me see what I can do here. This line is not erasing. This line that I painted over, it's not erasing. That's still wet, so can't do anything there. But you can see, because I put water on it, it's set into the paper. Over here where I didn't put any water on, I can erase those lines. But the ones that got wet won't come off. So that's just a thing for you to be aware of too. If you don't want your piece to have the lines showing in it, either draw with your paintbrush or draw your outline a little bit large and paint inside of your outline so that you don't get paint on the pencil lines. Because once that water or that moisture gets on the pencil line, it sets it into the paper and it won't erase. So my little flower that I accidentally made came out kind of cute. You can't see it on this light too good, but it's got a couple of different colors of red going on, and
We can see it. It's beautiful. Good job.
It's got some salmon-y color stuff in it, and it's got some just color changes. Look really nice. So play with your paper and your stuff, and maybe you'll come up with some really cool idea you hadn't realized you could do. And then you will, that's how you create. That's how you you create as you go, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That's what I do on a lot of my work, and I come up with some great ideas by just jumping in there and exploring with my art supplies. And that's a really good thing for your brain. It's relaxing, it's therapeutic, it's you're being creative, you're exercising different parts of your mind than what you normally do on your job maybe. And plus there's that real sense of accomplishment when you're finished with something and you think, wow, look how cool that turned out. So I encourage you to play with your art supplies. Now I'm going to just show you this one is the card we made in class today. Jackie made the card that she showed earlier. And what I did was after my paint dried, then I took my gel pens and my markers and started coloring on top of the base that I had painted, which, was just a simple base of multicolored hearts. And I think that I just started with this heart, and then I painted another one beside it, and I painted that one. I think I painted that one. I just started putting hearts on there, and this might be something like for when you're doing your 46 hearts or something like that. Just put a heart on in a couple of places, start bouncing around, changing colors, changing the size, maybe change the shape just a little bit. And then some of your hearts start getting behind some of the other hearts. Some of your edges are hidden. You could draw this with your pencil, but again, your lines are going to show, and it can be just a lot of fun to just take your paintbrush and start throwing some hearts on there. And then, like I said, some of them get behind the other hearts, and you see only part of them. This one, you don't even see the whole top of it. It's just the bottom because it went off the page there. And then I just fill in the remaining little spots there. This is part of this. I didn't finish. I see that. But anyway, then I just put an edge on it over here. And then when I folded it, that part's on the back, but it doesn't really matter. Anyhow, what I did then was to just take my markers, and I'm going to continue that pattern over here into this area. And I'm going to just go with where I'm drawing little circles. And this is a trick that I learned in a Zentangle course. You pick you divide off your shape areas. And in this case, the shape areas are defined by the fact that I painted hearts all over everything. So my shape areas are now defined. And then I pick a pattern and I fill each different shape area with that pattern. And this pattern just so happens to be little round circles or bubbles or something like that. I'm not any kind of certified Zentangleist or anything like that. I don't know that I would do well in that because it's really it's a thing. They have all these patterns identified and named, and you can look at their pattern bank, I guess, if you will, and pick a pattern and then fill an area with that pattern. I'm a little too freewheeling, I guess. I want to change my mind midstream a lot of times, and I just do things and I make them work and I see how they're going to come out. Um, so um, so I'm not a real Zentangle artist, but you can use the techniques and get some really cool things going on in your work here. And I've seen things all over the internet where people have taken a Zentangle ish approach to their art, and it's not really exactly Zentangle the way I was taught it, where you just take I could do one of these and show you what I was actually taught is to take, let me use the waterproof marker here, make a shape, and they'll start with a circle or a square or something, but I'm going to make a shape. Then I would just divide that shape off into sections, something like that. So now I have 3 sections on there, and you would put a pattern, a different pattern in each section, and your pattern might be squiggly lines like this. Or it might be, you could fill one of your shape areas with another shape. I don't want to do circles. I'm going to just do little tiny flowers. And they can be random or they can be evenly spaced. But I might start out random and then go to evenly spaced, or vice versa. So that's why I kind of don't exactly do real Zentangle. And that one ended up with only 3 petals instead of 4. But I don't care. I'm just filling this area with this pattern. One more. Okay, then what do I want to put in here? I guess I'm going to just do stripes. And I'm not going to make them all the same width. So now I've got a pattern in every one of those sections, and then I would just start painting that. And I could either paint the whole, area, paint right over the lines like that, or I could paint around my shapes. And just because this is a Valentine card does not mean that the only colors I can use are red and pink. So I'm going to put some blue on here and just paint around all these little flowers. And I'm not being real careful to paint exactly around them. In this particular type of art, good enough is good enough. And the watercolor is just going to kind of run around there. I'm going to neaten up the outside edges so it looks good. Then maybe, let's see, can't see that quite good. Yeah, there we go. Then maybe I'll just put little yellow dots in the centers of those flowers. And that looks cute. Then for the last section, I could actually paint each stripe its own color, and that'd be pretty. And then I could also, on this one, go back in here and add some darker color up under the edge, like just paint right along the edge of the squiggly line that I made, and that makes a pattern all its own start happening there. Part of it's still wet, so it wants to run, but that's okay. I'm going to just use that to my advantage here. Use a darker color. Then let's see here. Let's have a yellow stripe. And I'm going to mix some of my yellow with my red. Make an orange stripe. Then I'm going to just put a red stripe on. Then let's have a dark purple stripe. And then I'll go to a nice dark blue. Using French ultramarine for that blue. And see, the purple is still wet, so the colors are running together, and that's going to look really pretty. I'm going to have to paint 2 stripes there because I got sloppy. Then how about a nice pretty green after that? I have some nice emerald green. So let's put emerald green on. Now I got a rainbow going, but I'm going to switch gears here and make it a Florida rainbow. I'm going to put some turquoise in there. And I think I'm going to paint 2 stripes that color too. Then let's see, how about some nice cerulean blue. It's a color that I use a lot when I paint Florida beach scenes and I want to paint the sky. It's kind of close to turquoise, but it is not turquoise. So that goes right on there. Looks beautiful. Now, I think I'm going to put some pink on next. And those colors ran together and are flashing and doing some fun stuff. And let's see, let's go back to yellow, I believe. Put some yellow in here because those colors are going to mix a little bit. Might do something cool. Now, when you're putting your color choices, you want to not put things that are exactly opposite each other on the color wheel. For instance, purple is opposite of yellow on the color wheel. So if I put purple here next, then where they blend together, they're going to turn to a gray-brown, which is considered a neutral color. That's always going to happen when you mix opposite colors. They're going to make the gray-brown neutral tint. So keep that in mind when you're making your color choices. So I am not going to put purple here next. I think, but I don't want another red. I think I'll put, let's put a little bit of ultramarine blue in there. It's going to possibly get some green things happening, but green is pretty. So got that right there. Take a little of the excess off. You know what, I like it better darker, so I'm going to put that back in. And then I'll put purple in the bottom. And I didn't rinse my brush, it just went straight over into that purple. And so I've got a nice, beautiful dark blue violet going right there because my colors mixed. So there's that. And now to make this look even prettier, I need to outline it. So I think I'm going to use indigo because I like indigo. And I don't know what's going to happen when I do this. So I've got a lot of indigo on my brush. And that looks really, really dark. I'm going to just make it do that. Go right to there and leave it just like that. And look at that. That makes it like jump off the page. That's kind of pretty. I wasn't going to do that, but now I just changed my mind. That's exactly how I'm going to leave that. I might go back in and put some more color in later. Maybe I've got this really pretty thing called Maya Blue. I'll possibly paint the background with that color. And I might mix some other, maybe I'll mix some of that turquoise color in there with it. Kind of transition from one color to the next. And I do that by not rinsing my brush and not making a distinct line in between one color and the next when I change. Now I'm going to just make it get a lot lighter just by adding a lot more water and no more paint. But this is wet down here in the bottom. My indigo paint is, so I want to be really careful about how I do that so I don't make all that paint run away and lose my cool effect that I created. Let's see, let me go to some, I think ultramarine might be too dark. Yeah, I don't like it. So I'm going to take that back up off there with the wet paintbrush. And I think instead I'll try the cerulean again. Yeah, that looks better. But those colors didn't blend well. So let me get some more of this Mayan and just put it on there. So that's going to get me a better transition. And I've got a whole lot of water going on here. So I'm probably going to get some cauliflowers or blooms. And in the case of this background, that might be real pretty. So I'm going to just let it happen and see what I get. So I think I'm liking that one. It's different. Not a traditional Valentine thing, but it came out real pretty anyhow. And I just started that off with the idea to draw a heart shape and then divide it into sections and then put patterns in each of them. And I got a kind of a cool thing. So there's that. Now let me set that aside and let's go back to this because I was going to show you, actually I did show you how I drew patterns on there. So I think we covered that. Is there any questions? Anybody have any thoughts they want to share or a question they want to ask? Or yes,
Christine, you might could do one like we did like this, where it's just a huge heart, but it's layer after layer after layer of color, so it made it look dimensional.
right. Okay. Let's
Just a thought.
let's do one like that. Get a new card here. And I will go ahead and draw. Let's see, we're going to go this way. So let me divide it in half. And we're going to make just a big heart starting to happen like this. So it's obvious it's actually, all right, we're going to go with it.
We are watching your head.
Oops. Sorry. There. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, don't watch my head. All right, so basically I divided it in half, and then I put the top of a heart, but I don't like that because I can hear now what somebody's going to say about that shape. So let me start over on that.
Christine, your colors on your palette just look so pretty.
Oh,
Just look at
good.
your palette.
I'm glad. They in what I'm looking at, it looks a little darker than I'd like it to be, but if you can see the different colors and it looks good, then I'm happy. Okay, let me just get an idea here. Let's go with this. There, that one's running off the page, but you can still see it's a heart. Okay, so what we might want to do here is let's put some water. I think I'll switch to a flat brush too. Put some water right onto the shape and keep it inside the lines for now. Then I'm going to pick, let's see, let's go with this pink again because I like this color. So let me get a whole lot of that going over here. And actually, I'm going to make a little puddle that has some of this. This is Purline Maroon, I think, but it might be quinacridone maroon. Or no, I've got, okay, Windsor Violet, quinacridone violet, quinacridone maroon, or Purline violet. That's what that is. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to start with that color at the top. And just put that right in there onto that wet paper. Then I'm going to get some of this opera pink and put that right up beside there. Then I'm just going to get a little water in my brush. Spread that down. A little more water. Take out the extra on my paper towel. And this is just water. Now rinse that color all out of my brush and go in the lighter pink color. Put that in there and then get some more of that color and on my brush and put that right up against the other thing. And then go back in that last color. Now when that dries, all those colors get blending together and you have like a smooth transition. It doesn't look all that smooth right now, but as it dries and it'll morph into something slightly different than what you're looking at right here. Let's see. And the better quality paper that you have, the smoother your transition from light to dark will be. This particular transition right here is a little too dark, so I'm going to get water on my brush, but I don't want it drippy wet because the paper's not drippy wet anymore. And if I use too much water on my brush, it's going to make cauliflowers and do what I don't want it. So I've got my brush is a little bit wet, and I'm just going to go right across there and smooth that transition just a little bit with my brush. But I am barely touching the paper with that. So I just knocked that color change down a little bit. And I've got kind of the same thing going on up here. So without too much paint on water on the brush, I'm just going to tickle that line right there just the least little bit so that I got a smoother transition from the dark to the next color.
May I ask
And
you a
then
question?
yes.
What is cauliflowers?
A cauliflower, let's just make one. If I have if I make a water drip right there, okay, where that water just landed, can you see the paint is starting to spread out from there?
Oh, it's pretty. Yes.
Sometimes we love them. You can get cauliflowers in your sky and it looks like really great clouds. Other
Yes.
times, if you're trying to get a real smooth bit of color and you go back into it with too much water on your brush, it'll do something like that. Or if, as you just saw, you drip some water where you didn't want it. I've been painting a beautiful sky before and got everything going just perfectly, and then accidentally, as I reach across to put my brush in the water and then come back across, water falls off my brush onto my picture. And if you don't notice it right away and use your paper towel to just carefully blot it up, then you're going to get something like that happen. So sometimes it can really mar what you're trying to do, and mess it up, make it look bad. Um, Other times you
You
might
like
want
them.
to have it. So it's good to know how to do that. I'm glad you asked, because if
Thank
you know
you.
how to do it, then you know how not to let it happen as well.
Right.
So
Thank you.
you're welcome. So anyway, that's how you would get a transition from dark to light. And then let's see, I'm going to show you one more thing that's kind of handy to know, and that's along the same lines. I'm just going to make this one more like a picture. Let's say we're drawing, here's this heart. And then we've got some more hearts back here, a little bit smaller. I might need another something right there. And then even smaller. Now that's supposed to look like those are getting farther away. In case it doesn't look like that, I can help it look like that with my paint color. So I would paint the really far away heart the lightest color. Then I would make the next ones a little bit darker than that. Then I might want to make the next ones even darker than that. Oops, too dark. Too dark, too quick. Just going to alter the color a little bit right there, but try to keep it about the same amount of pigment in it, which is make it the same value, make it the same amount of dark, if I can say it that way. Then the next layer is going to be even darker. And then we've got another layer coming in after that that's darker still, which means less water, more pigment and less water, not really changing colors. Then if I can get even more dark, and I am going to add a bit more of that other color in here just so I can for sure get dark. And you see how this isn't spreading as quickly? It's because I don't have nearly as much water in the paint. Still got to have some or it won't, the paint won't move around at all. And I have to paint kind of fast or I lose what I call my leading edge, which this edge right here is the leading edge. And I want to keep painting back into it while it's still wet so that I don't get, so it helps get the best transition going and I don't get it too blotchy, although this one is blotchy. Just going to put a lot of color there.
Christine,
Make it good and dark. Yes.
can you tell everybody what paper again that you're using, which you think are the best paper?
Okay. Today I am using, what is the name of this? It's something I got at Michael's. It's Artist Loft 140 pound right here. And it's cold press, which it says right here. It's a little blurry. That says cold press, watercolor paper. This is okay paper. It's not, I'm noticing as I'm painting today, it's not as good as the Canson paper, which you can buy also at any art supply store, but you can also pick this up at Walmart. So it's a really good price at Walmart. It's Canson brand watercolor, 140 pound and cold press. So, and the cold press has to do with the texture on the surface of it. It's not smooth like say a piece of poster board. That would be hot press, the really smooth poster board type of a thing. I don't like that. I like there to be a bit of some sort of a texture, just because it helps with dry brush techniques, and I think it makes a prettier picture. So I use cold press. They make a thing called rough, but rough it has a whole lot of texture and it can be difficult to work with if you're not used to it. So I wouldn't recommend rough for a beginner, but cold press is always going to be good. You can experiment with hot press if you want to, just to see, maybe you'll like it. It's personal opinion there on that. And Canson is a pretty good brand for, the less expensive paper. Now, if you really want to get good paper, then I recommend that you get Arches or something like that. This is Arches. So Arches is the brand. It's 140 pound. This one is rough. It has, I doubt you can really see the difference in the texture on my camera, but it's got a much more rough, not like sandpaper rough, but it's just got more little bumps and divots in it on its surface. But Arches is a good brand. You can also, Arches comes in, where did it go? Cold press, hot press, and rough. Excuse me. You can also buy, I bought this, actually, I think I got this at Jerry's. And I thought it was Fabriano, but it's not. It says fluid, 140 pound cold press. and it's a block. It's just something I got to experiment with and play with. That's good paper. And one other that I will show you is this brand right here.
Christine, would you hold your paper up just a second longer so people can take pictures of it?
Oh, okay.
Can you do that? Because they're trying to do that. And everybody, I love the Fabriano. I use that a lot.
This one is pretty good. I like this one. Fabriano is right in here. You can see it, but also right here, Fabriano. It's cold press, and it's 140 pound.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
If you have that block of paper, which I inherited, how do you separate the sheets?
On the edge of them, and this you don't separate until after you're finished painting. The whole idea of the block is so that you don't have to tape it down.
Right.
On one edge somewhere, it's going to have a loose spot. There. Okay, this corner's loose. So
I see.
you just put your, I put usually the end of my paintbrush. I've got a paintbrush that looks like this, and I just stick that in there and slide it right around, and it loosens really good. You also,
It also might have an opening at the top, like the arches, right around the word arches. And to be honest, what I do is I mark mine. I put a little dot at the top so I remember.
In the arches, their edges are dark, and right here in the top, it's where it's not got this dark glue on it. So that darkness goes all the way around. Let me just see if I can zoom back out here. The darkness goes all the way around on this arches block. But at the top here, there's a light section, and that's where it's not glued. So that's arches.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I also have showed you this before, but I'll show you again. I bought a Canson pad, and here's the Canson paper if anyone was wanting to take a picture of this one. But I bought this Canson pad at Walmart, probably spent about $5 or $7 on it, as opposed to 10 or 12 at some of the other stores. And then I took some clamps, I opened it up and I clamped it shut. And by clamps, I mean, let me see, any kind of clamp will do, but I have these right here. And what I did was I just clamped it on here like this, and that makes it stand up. Check that out. So it stands up, and then I have some glue, which I think I bought at Joann's. Nope, says Hobby Lobby on the label. It looks like this right here. Handy Art black glue. Where's the zoom in on that? Oops, too much. There we go. Handy Art black glue. I took this glue, it just has this little screw top on it here. Open it up, and I squished a little bit of glue, maybe I can show that to you with it like this, right onto the edge here and smoothed it down in. And I did 3 sides. I did all 3 sides here. And then once that was dry, I put a second layer on. And then when that was dry, I took the clamps off, switched it around, and did the top side. But while I was at it, I left part with no glue on it. This part has no glue. That's where I would stick my paintbrush right down under there and then slide it around and separate this top sheet when I'm finished painting on it. So in that way, I made myself my own watercolor block out of the slightly less expensive Canson paper. Mainly I did that because I was gearing up for a lot of classes in the library last summer, and I had already started buying supplies, and I had a ton of this Canson paper, and so I decided I needed to use it. So, but it warps, buckles a lot when it gets wet, so I turned it into a block.
So I don't understand. That stops the warping?
Yes, because it's holding it steady. So those edges are glued together and they're held together and held flat. So when you put all that water on there, it's not, it's glued and held in place so it can't do all of, this kind of stuff, kind of curling up and buckling and having your paper do all this wonky business so that it won't lay flat. So when you put water on it, the water's running downhill into the low spots and messing up what you're trying to paint. You want it to be held completely flat. And that's one reason why when we're using single sheets, we tape it down to a board or something. That is for the purpose of holding it flat. It's like extra hands holding your paper like this for you so that it won't buckle up and warp and get all wonky and mess up your painting. Because, not flat. Even this paper,
I'm just
it's not really flat anymore because I put a lot of water on it.
I'm just giving everybody a heads up. It's 2:20, so we're gonna need to wrap up.
Okay, so any more questions? And can you see what I was showing you about here? This is dark, and going back into the distance, they get lighter in color. That's a atmospheric perspective. So you know that.
I have another request, Christine. Would you square up your palette and put what you did flat so everybody can see them? Does that make sense? Kind of line yours up in order so everybody can see them.
Oh, all my samples. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Let me just move this. And in fact, I can take myself out of the picture and we got a little bit more space. So here's the ones I did today. I didn't do any writing on these, but that's easy enough to do. So there's that and that. In fact, I'll just overlap a little bit. Put this one in here. Stop that. And my other samples from before. This got a lot of water on it, and you can see it's standing up. It's not laying flat. This particular one right here. If I had taped it down to a board, it would have laid flat better. Okay, there's that. And then I'll just slide this in on the side so you can see it. How's that?
That's perfect. There you go, everybody. Take a picture so you have some examples. That's terrific. Thank you, Christine.
You're welcome.
It is great.
It was a good idea.
Yep, this was great. Thank you.
Now, I can't spotlight everybody. I'm not sure why, but it's not letting me spotlight everybody today, so I can't do that. But at the same time, if you've got your thing set to gallery view, everyone can hold their picture up in front of their camera, and we can see what everybody did.
Oh, wow. Love it. So
I see a lot of creative stuff going on there.
Yes.
That's really great.
So special. Wait, I got to get a picture of this. That's great.
Very nice. Oh, I like Susan Lazarus. You've outlined yours in black. They're beautiful. I like them like that.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Thank you.
Suzanne, did you guys do one? How about Anne?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't. But I'm learning a lot.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Mercedes, that looked cool.
They look terrific. Special gifts for special people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really looking forward to our next class also, so I hope everybody joins February, let me see, February, I'm looking at my calendar, 19. February 19, and we're going to do the mixed media bird. So that's a little different from what we've been doing, and I'm looking forward to that.
Have your markers and stuff ready for that class. Colored pencils, markers, all kind of stuff.
Is it the same passcode?
No, this time it's different. I sent everyone the email and I will resend. So register on that email, okay? And you'll get the right passcode.
I
did-
also put the link to register on my Facebook page.
Okay.
So
I
there should be, you should have multiple ways you can find that registration link and click on it and get to the place you need to go.
I'll resend the same email that I sent last week. So you'll have it for the 19th class.
I did register for both classes and did not receive the passcode, I guess it is. I got the ID, but no passcode on the second one.
I don't know what to tell you about that, because if you receive the ID, it usually comes together, the ID and the passcode. So since I don't know what you're looking at, just register again and you'll get it.
Because I printed it out and I printed it and I got this, but it didn't have the passcode, but I printed this. And it has the ID, but it didn't have the passcode.
It must have got cut off somehow or other.
Yeah.
We'll look into that for you, maybe.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let's see, Diane, I can't hear you.
No, I just wanted to make sure that when you email us, it's going to have the new code and the new password, correct?
Well, yes, it's going to have,
Okay.
it'll have the 19th and it'll date and it'll tell you it's mixed media birds and to click here and register.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Okay, everyone. Well, happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you.
Thank
Valentine's Day.
you, it was wonderful.
Thank you for all you do, Julie.
So
Yes.
welcome and thank you, everybody. It's so great to be together.
Thank you very much.
Christine.
Thank you for
Thank
everything.
you.
Bye.
Thanks for coming.
Bye, everybody. Be safe.
Bye-bye. Thank you,
Bye,
Christine.
everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you, Christine.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you,
Hope you had
Christine.
fun.